And now we have the final roundtable of the day, which is called, aptly, Part 3. It's like Jurassic Park. Strategic Roundtable. What comes after RICAIP? Again, I think the question on everyone's lips. The project finished. What is the roadmap? What is going to happen? What is the ecosystem going to look like? How can industry join? How can we actually start making Europe a better place for manufacturing and industry, and not just leave it to the Chinese and Americans to hoover it up? All of that is and more will be discussst in the panel today. So let me welcome and prepare your palms for clapping. Vladimír Mařík, Scientific Director, CIIRC CTU. Pavel Burget, the RICAIP leader and the Testbed Prague, Robert Keil, the Director for the National Centre for Industry 4.0, and Luboš Lukasík, the co-founder of Machify. Round of applause for you gentlemen. Professor Mařík, let me again start with you. Pardon my bias, I always turn to you at the start of these panels. How would you define the kind of long-term collaboration perspectives, or what do you think is needed after the finishing of the RICAIP project? What do we need?
Thank you very much. After excellent presentations of Wolfgang and Duncan, we have realized what we are suffering from, as a matter of fact, you know. We gained a lot of expertise, a lot of know-how in the last 8-10 years, especially it was based on a RICAIP project, but 200 other projects around it, smaller, bigger, and we gathered expertise which is tremendous, and we are trying to find a way how to transfer this know-how to industry, to society, to healthcare, because if we do have it in this building, it's not so important. Important is to bring something to the society, bring something to industry. Of course, RICAIP would like to continue the trademark. That's why we have established association, RICAIP Centre, which is non-profit and which will, as a matter of fact, promote the equipment, capacity, know-how, everything from RICAIP and other projects to industry and to society. That's good to have such a promotional organization which is not part of the Czech Technical University, so it can operate in much freely way. But we know that there are seats of expertise. Our guys are ready to provide services to individual companies if they understand their needs. And the needs of industry are not well expressed, you know. So we need also to teach industry, to inform them what they really might need. And that's why we have established 10 years ago, the National Centre for Industry 4.0, which has got 60 members and which tries to educate industry what might be the need, what might be the realistic expectations from industrial automation and industrial AI. So that's one vehicle which will continue, and as a matter of fact, I expect that there will be synergy between RICAIP Centre Association and the National Centre for Industry 4.0. They will work together, cooperate together, and disseminate the information to industry. So industry is one player, you know. We need to simply educate them. The other player is the university. Because we are in the university environment, university is part of the governmental system of education, and visions of university and visions of entrepreneurs are a little bit different. You know, to be quite honest, university wants to gain as much money as possible from each startup, from each new initiative. And this is killing for the new initiatives. What we need is simply to create seeds of independent startups, independent spin-offs, independent centers, which will operate independently, but they cannot leave the university because the equipment is very expensive, software is very expensive. Energy is very expensive, computing power is very expensive. So they have to live here making experiments, making development inside or in the vicinity of the university. On the other hand, the university should support them and should, realize that success of these teams is success of the university. Failure of these teams means failures for the university. So what they need is free access to the equipment, reasonable contracts, which are still not available. New rector promised to have a good contract for startups, and they need money, because each such independent unit needs in money. So there is third factor, venture capitalists. There is surplus of money in the hands of venture capitalists, but they don't understand what does it mean to bring AI into industrial plants. They don't have any clue. They are spoiled by American system that you have some application and for 2 million users, and you can in 1 year get 200% of return of investment. That's not the case of AI, and both of you mentioned it quite clearly, because each AI solution is partial solution, requires a lot of engineering implementation for the particular company, and to deploy it in the other company requires a lot of efforts which should be paid from external sources. So venture capitalists in classical way, which are now plenty of them coming, simply trying to grab somebody or to say we need your expertise in this and we will pay you this amount of money, in 2 years there should be big return. It doesn't work. So what's our role is to prepare the teams which represent, let's say, the seeds of future independent startups, maybe small and medium companies which will deliver solution to small and medium companies in the country, to prepare them, to format them, to protect them against the management of the university, to protect them against this crazy venture capitalists, and to offer them quite clear strideway of development and potential success in the future. But it's long-term run. It's not a question of months. It's not a question of 1-2 years. It's a question of 5-7 years to have well-developed companies. That's why there appeared a new initiative of Czech entrepreneurs who decided to create equity fund, supporting just small companies, seed companies, which continue in small steps towards success. And I think Mr. Lukasík, who represents the INNOBRIDGE initiative, will explain more about it. So we are really thinking how to transfer the know-how in a very efficient way. It's difficult in AI because we mentioned already, and we need to protect our teams, to keep them running here, but to give them and their PhD student chance to be successful in business. That's difficult task, a quite innovative task, because nobody did solve it in the past, and we want to go this way.
That's fantastic. And can I just say, like, how you might not realize is how awesome it is that a basically fund is being built in the university. I think also that deserves a round of applause, if anything does. So this is great. This is great, and they're very concrete vehicles to continue this ecosystem, and it's fantastic to see. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Pavel Burget now, because you very correctly mentioned the industry doesn't always know what it wants. It wants half a kilo of AI, and that looks sexy on its own, and then the actual implementation comes, and that's where the gears start grinding. I've heard somewhere in a recent presentation at a conference that it's the era of realistic AI. So actually understanding your needs, understanding where your data is, all the boring stuff that sometimes industry doesn't realize that you need to do. You, as someone who's been spearheading the testbed, what have you seen kind of coming into contact with industry in terms of the expectations, and what has the RICAIP project taught you about how to communicate with industry to make these relationships as fruitful as possible?
Definitely the equipment that we have here is some sort of something that opens the door when we talk to industry. There are many companies from manufacturing where they handle with, let's say, repetitive tasks that are done by human workers. Companies that deal with quality inspection, which is done by an experienced eye of a 30-year human worker working there, and so on. So, to your question, what the companies expect, they would like to just replace, let's say, human worker doing the quality inspection with just a system, just an AI, that would do it, which is very easy to say but very hard to do. And I must emphasize again that the equipment that we have helps us explain such companies what it really takes to do, let's say, 50% of the tasks that the human worker does every day. And so it was said today several times here that humans are very flexible and very, let's say, able to do, in fact, anything. But in the era today, we feel that such types of tasks are not worth being done by humans. So it's a really good opportunity to talk about how to replace this monotonic and repetitive tasks, but also we need to explain the complexity of such tasks. So it's about providing services, maybe consultancy, proof of concept, testing of technologies, and so on. And from my point of view, the goal for the future is to make such services as, let's say, as modular as possible, as being able to be reused to an extent as big as possible, so that the efficiency of providing such services increases during the time. What helps is the experience that we have with the services that we provided, the experience with the companies, the fact that we know that we try to understand, and I would say in many cases understand the needs of the companies, and what also helps is the connection to the business people from INNOBRIDGE, for example, who will help us shape the service for the future to be as efficient as possible, also from the commercial point of view.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. And I think having that physical frontier, almost like this AI playground where, like, there's this Czech idiom that papír snese všechno, paper can take anything, but then you actually look at the robot in real life, what it does, how it behaves, the complexity of that behavior, and you realize what is needed on the implementation side of industry. So it's a good reality check, and I think you've been doing a phenomenal job of that, and RICAIP has really beautifully put that together. So thank you for all your work. Following up on this, and Professor Mařík already alluded to it, but is the education around it, the best practice, the methodology, because without it, none of this is scalable. And my eyes turn towards Robert Keil, who's the director of the National Centre for Industry 4.0, who's been working very, very hard on this particular theme. What have you done in the industry, in the centre? What was its purpose, and where do you see it developing in this new framework going forward?
Okay, first of all, I would like to express the gratitude of being the part of the RICAIP project, at least as an external subject, because for the last 5 years I actually witnessed a lot of amazing projects practically delivered into technological practice, and I'm very happy that I see that every year the number of such successful projects and technological implementations exponentially increases. It's not that simple because also the partner in terms of company needs to understand actually all the possibilities, all the technicalities, all the administrative procedures, and I'm really happy that for the last at least 5 years, these projects were actually growing, and all of the obstacles were actually mitigated. And I'm also very happy that after operation nearly 10 years of National Center for Industry 4.0, I can say that we've established an organization, so to say umbrella organization for the topic of Industry 4.0 in the Czech Republic. We were able to build really a lot of activities around the RICAIP Centre. We were able to integrate also other partners, especially the industrial ones, further develop with them and help with the development of such technologies, like, for instance, the elaborating of batteries, like, for instance, various digital twins, shop floor algorithms, etc., etc. And that we were able to kind of bridge the gap between industry and academia. I would also like to say that following our example of 64 members and actually the concept that we operate, new centers were also established. For instance, in 2021, the National Center of Construction 4.0. Then in this year, 2026, the National Center for Mobility 4.0. There were also other centers established, like Interdisciplinary Center for Humanoid Robotics, as well as newly establishing RICAIP Centre. And therefore, actually, all of this makes sense in terms of creating the huge ecosystem that is really able to deliver all of these amazing achievements of the academia into real practice, as well as to hear the needs of the industry in terms of what they need technologically, economically, and also in terms of management. And therefore, it's great that we're creating such an organization that they are actually able to bridge such gaps.
Awesome, thank you. And I think you mentioned the independent units that Professor Mařík was talking about, and the fact they're popping up like mushrooms. This is fantastic and very, very encouraging. Mr. Lukasík, I have a question for you, because all of this costs money, and I understand that you know how to get some of that in our direction. No, I'm joking, of course, but when we were preparing for the panel, we were discussing your role in INNOBRIDGE, and it's a terminus technicus that was sounded here a few times today. So if you could tell us a little bit more about that, that would be superb.
Well, for the Czech speakers, we recently heard from one of our ministers that if something is paid from the taxes, it's not paid by the people. So it's a very innovative idea. So I still think it's the candidate for Nobel Prize for Economy by far. But realistically, yes, it needs money. And this, what has been funded here, is tremendous, because without public money, it would never exist. That's obvious. And thanks to Professor Mařík and the team for running it for a long time already. Also, this initiative of what Robert Keil described, and I was part of that for a long time, of the National Center, where actually the academia and the business people are meeting. It's essential to create, I would say, trust and relationship in a certain way. Because by definition, these two worlds, they don't trust each other. Yeah, they have different KPIs on side of business and different targets at side of university, and it's very, I would say, natural for them to go their own way. Yeah, and Robert is trying to bridge it. On the other side, if you want to go beyond just a basic collaboration and you want to create something, it's a bit more essential, and it needs money. It needs money, and it needs an investment of time of the people. Yeah. So it needs on collaboration side, where universities are targeting mostly SMEs at the moment because of the public funding. And I would really push back on the fact that all these programs which are run here, like a bit lost sometimes in that, like EDIC, TEF, etc., they are targeted for SMEs. I mean, in world scale, European SMEs are way too small. Yeah, I mean, if we don't really involve what is called mid-cap, then we are having real problem. Because I myself, I left T-Mobile at the board position. I'm running SME, having quite decent business at the moment. But even for us, it's super difficult to focus on something else than just making our life livable, I would say. Yeah. So I mean, it needs to go two ways, increasing this opportunity, a tremendous opportunity for practicing for mid-caps and companies on the bit larger scale and having broader pool of people. And of course, second is, and this is essential, to bridge and make some of the good ideas from the universities livable in case of startup spin-offs and essentially companies which are delivering to somebody else, not necessarily are acquired by somebody else, yeah, because in here we have, we consider tremendous success if somebody grew a company and sell it to Americans. I mean, fine, very good. We should be more courageous and have it in Europe, yeah. And we are looking at, but this is a long way to go. This is a long way to go. And we are trying to really raise money from local businesses or businessmen and to work on with the startups from universities, not only here, other universities as well, and to be patient, to really go slowly, check if the idea is really viable and innovative. Because very often, to be honest, something which is studied at the university or academia as innovative, it doesn't necessarily have to be, because with the speed of economy, it already exists somewhere else, and you have to be very cautious about this. Yeah? Second, and this is more important, and I think it was mentioned by Professor Mařík and probably by the speakers as well, and sorry for missing the previous part, but it is very difficult in B2B world to implement in the real world, yeah, because every environment is a bit different. Yeah? This is what is called agentic AI in the business environment. There is a trick of implementation, how you actually make it happen, how you fine-tune it, how you actually customize it to customers, and I'm doing myself is super difficult. Yeah. So we are testing these ideas with the companies. We want to have a proof of concepts in the area like this. We want to have a proof of concept of two other, I would say, business customers when they really prove it is viable in the livable experience environment. And then we are ready to invest and to give the money. So we are a bit more different. In INNOBRIDGE, the approach is a bit different. It's, I would say, more working with as a pre-seed capital, but not only pre-seed capital, but consulting. It's a group of people who's got experience from industry, who's got experience from automotive, who has got experience from defense, from other industries, biotechnology as well, and who are actually helping and advising the people here with not only giving them money or trying to give them money, but trying to also explain them what really world expects. Yeah, that it's good to have idea, but you have to sell it.
Yes, yes.
It's good to sell, but it's the beginning of the story. It's not the end of the story. You have to deliver. Delivery is still okay. You have to invoice. Sorry, it's not as our minister believes. In the real world, you have to be paid. If you invoice, you have to collect the money, and then it's not the end. Then it starts. Because you have to provide service for the solution. And you have to provide service 24/7. Because you are going in the environment where you are trying to, what? Replace people. And all the companies, they believe if they go to AI-powered whatever, they will get rid of people. And they will get to 24/7 production. But for that, you have to have reliable service 24/7. So the environment where the ideas are going are a bit like challenging, I would say. And this is what we are trying to explain. What we are trying to provide, also in INNOBRIDGE, like to provide this I would say essential environment to run 24/7 production for some of the potential customers.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, it starts with the ideas. I believe ideas are very, very interesting in the universities, and hopefully with the continuous effort of the ladies and gentlemen here, it will be more and more, because in Europe we definitely need them.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much. And I'd actually like to take this opportunity, and excuse me for being bold, but I think we need this if we want to have the results. I've been at a conference recently of industry, and they said, academia, they're slow. They just care about KPIs, like, to fill the grants. And then like the actual delivery, the kind of like fast, that doesn't bother them so much. And that's not true. And you can see that it's not true. And just because we don't prioritize necessarily speed, because that's not always the optimal strategy, doesn't mean that we cannot deliver excellent results precise results for industry to make it much more robust and therefore much more sovereign and therefore much more resilient. And I think that it's best demonstrated on examples, and I'd like to ask you, gentlemen, and feel free to battle over the microphone, if we can go one level deeper and maybe take some commercialization example or some successful example of, we had someone from Siemens here earlier, but someone who came to the test bed and actually went through the RICAIP process and resulted in, you know, great results. If you have a particularly favorite example or something that you'd like to share with the audience, I think that that's always the best selling point.
Maybe I can grab a word a little bit just to elaborate for one example that speed isn't always like the maybe the best way, the best option, because for instance we in the National Center of Industry 4.0 are having one product which is called Digital Maturity Assessment or Digi Audit, and we are able to assess the company in terms of the digital maturity level, as well as advise them on the solution that they should take in order to be more digitized. One example was the company Bosch, actually having the production on central heatings, etc., everything connected to the central heating. And actually they've implemented a software that actually wasn't working for them, because actually they haven't developed the whole digital strategy before. So actually they came to us and said, okay, so what we should do? So we were able to actually advise them to create for them the whole digital roadmap, as well as with the recommendation on developing or actually purchasing a manufacturing execution system specifically on their needs, and actually they were able to scale up to 30% of their production. So they were really happy. We did it like I think in 4 months.
That's brilliant. Great. Please.
I can talk about a project that was about robotic disassembly of batteries from electrical vehicles, which went through proof of concept stage here, and then we created a full digital twin of the factory to demonstrate and actually to validate the functionality of what was tested here as a digital twin, how it can scale up to a whole factory. So it was a requirement from a company to be, let's say, they wanted to know if something like this can, how something like this can work. An interesting example of this is was algorithm for automatic designing of the layout of the factory, which was done by our colleagues at another department led by Petr Kadera, and this came to way on, let's say, it's set off for commercial path, and it's on the way of becoming a product in, let's say, real applications. Another example I can talk about is a project for a company producing lawn mowers, industrial lawn mowers, where we develop the whole sensoric part and autonomy functions to be able to navigate in harsh environment. And this is also on the path to be a commercially used product in many installations.
Fantastic, thank you.
And I would like to mention cooperation of our team, Pavel Burget, Petr Kadera, with Lego. Automation of production of these cubics, these components for sets. As a matter of fact, there were successful solutions which enabled to check also the quality during the assembling the packages, because if the weight of manipulated box was correct, that meant probably the right boxes are inside. And as a matter of fact, the result was that today, 20 kilometers out of Prague, there is the largest company manufacturing plant of Lego in the world. Because they use the automation which was developed under the support of our team, and they started in the testbed. I remember this quite well. So that's quite important. And you mentioned the continental problem, that means layout of the factory. So the team used the older multi-agent algorithms, which was later deployed by one mid-cap chip company for Airbus, and all the Airbus production lines for 320 and 350 have this from the Czech company. But it was a reverse algorithm which was used to layout planning, and it's now becoming a product, because you can provide layout planning for different companies, considering also transportation between the manufacturing cells. So there are just a couple of examples. There are many of them, and all of them started in the testbed because Lego vice president for research came and saw, and the result is a bigger plant out of Prague. You know. So this is it.
Yeah, and you beautifully mentioned the fact as well, it doesn't have to be the immediate effect, it can also be the long-term effect of creating jobs, creating a new ecosystem, and that's not immediately visible, but it happens. And I think that we need to learn this from, and I think the ending of the RICAIP project is actually great, because it forces us to kind of retrospect what we have achieved and see the provenance that we might be otherwise blind to of all the things that have happened here, how the individual actions connect. So it's great to have this opportunity to reflect. Gentlemen, thank you. I would also like to give the audience an opportunity to reflect. I always like to give a chance for questions. Are there any questions that you have for the speakers of the panel right now? And not all at once, please. No? I've got loads, but I want to give you a chance. All right, fine. Think about it. I'll be back. And I now want to go into the kind of concrete next steps. Starting, say, tomorrow, what are the things that we need to do as a priority?
Tomorrow we need to finish this conference.
Yes, that is true.
So we can start on Thursday, you know.
Yes.
Only. But as a matter of fact, we would like to establish this association to link it with National Center for Industry 4.0 and to start, you know, broader extent the results which were achieved here. We have to fight, because we have to fight with journalists, we have to fight with the opinion which is dominating in the community, that everything with AI goes easily. Like you open just the cloth and you can prepare your letter to your grandmother, but it's not so easy in industry. You cannot do changes like this. The company should be pre-prepared, should understand that digitalization is needed, organization of data is needed. Then we can come with some realistic AI partial solutions. And it takes money, it takes time, and companies should be, how to say, in a much visionary mode than today. Today they are trying to survive, but they need to have visions, they need to have leaders, technology leaders inside. And education of such leaders in this environment is one of our important tasks.
Yes.
We need to educate leaders who would be able to explain what does it mean realistic AI, what does it mean to implement Industry 4.0 using AI principles, and lead small, medium companies towards this goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't vibe code a factory. And I'm very kind of encouraged by the fact as well that CIIRC is taking the interdisciplinarity and the human aspect of this seriously. So I'm looking forward to those activities as well. Thank you.
We need to prepare the whole society for
Yeah.
AI implementation, and to explain what are the real limits of AI and what can be expected from AI
Yes.
realistically.
Yes. Thank you. Pavel, I have a question for you. From what you've seen in the testbed, the trends that you see emerging, what do you think is our role in Europe? Like the relevance of what we do here in the European context, because we see this need for the European digital sovereignty to kind of make our industry more robust. What are your opinions on that? Or where would you like to see the testbed develop in this regard?
We are already part of several European networks of excellence. So we've managed together and mainly with the support of the project office here at CIIRC and the project, and the CIIRC directors to be part of, of important groups in Europe that are in AI, in manufacturing. So that's definitely something we need to continue. Regarding the, let's say, commercialization or technology transfer, I see it as a big task for us to utilize the opportunity that we have through the RICAIP Centre and through INNOBRIDGE to enhance our team with people who understand marketing, who understand how to do business, and to identify opportunities for us to transfer the technological results, not only for the good of the industry, let's say, but also for the good of our team, to get an additional income that does not only rely on what taxpayers pay, but also on what we earn ourselves through the commercial activities. So this is, I see it as a big step which we are just at the beginning of.
Yes, and I love that diversifying the income for academia. Like I remember this when we came from our last archaeological expedition, which was privately funded, and we didn't get comments in the type of, "Oh wow, they discovered a new lost city." We got the comments of, "And I'm paying for this as a taxpayer." So in society, the relationship with academia is almost toxic because they see us as leeches for some reason when we're the ones bringing innovation to society, and we need to change that narrative. And you're doing a brilliant job of creating the meat that will change that narrative. So thank you for that. And Robert, you will be one of the crucial men at the intersection of academia, application to industry, the methodology, the education. For you, what are the priorities that we need to communicate to society, that we need to communicate to the outside of what we do here, how to commercialize it? What are your opinions on that?
Well, we need to definitely educate the companies. I think many of the things were said actually, that the AI isn't something what solves every problem like this, but also that it's a tool that we cannot be afraid of in terms of the technological development. And it doesn't, or it isn't just with the AI, it's also with other technologies, like, for instance, digital twins. Me personally, I see as a great example and a great task, obviously, not just for the National Center for Industry 4.0, but also for the RICAIP Centre to try to integrate all of the entities, relevant entities like the national centers, as well as the associations like Prague AI, etc., actually under one roof or in one roundtable, and try to actually develop with them specific communication strategies in terms of practical development of these technologies like digital twins, AI, 3D printing, cloud edge, etc. So this is definitely one task. You've asked before actually what steps we need to do, so maybe not from this global complex level, but for us as a 4 team and probably also newly established entity. if you think about it, and I think the perfect example of the plant layout and algorithms for the optimization of plant layout were mentioned as a perfect example of a project that was developed here at CIIRC CTU and which is actually scalable. It's very easily scalable. Obviously, you need to talk to the company, say to them what are the benefits and adjust definitely on premise the specific algorithm. But actually this type of project, this type of technology can be very easily implemented, deployed very fast in a variety of companies. And other topics, for instance, already the decommission, mentioned the decommission of the batteries. I cannot imagine myself being some kind of C-level or maybe even venture capitalist investing into a company that would like to deploy a new robot, new machining cell, new robotic line, and not doing the simulation before. So, and these are, for instance, the services that are here offered by top experts. And definitely we would need to try to find the mechanisms how to scale these activities and also how to encourage these leaders, these people that were able to develop such wonderful technologies in terms of pushing it a little bit on the next level with using of maybe private capital, with helping with the maybe communications, helping also with the business development, etc., etc. And this is something what is and will be the continuous process definitely of all of these established organizations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert. And I've got, unfortunately, our time has come to an end, but I've got I think, crucial question for Luboš. Since you come from the private sector, and also what Professor Mařík kind of mentioned here earlier, shielding the people here, you know, from the bureaucracy that academia brings with it. Intellectual property, the amount of regulations that are coming out of the European Union. This is a theme that has been kind of bubbling away throughout today. And we want to innovate. We want to sell the products here like Baťa sells shoes. But obviously you don't know what you don't know, right? So what are the kind of bureaucratic procedures? What are the rules around intellectual property? How to do a spin out? Sometimes like the students here might be lost about how to proceed or just unsure like in the complexity of things. For you, as someone coming from the outside, from the private sector, how do you plan to tackle this, I think, heavy bureaucratic baggage that academia naturally brings with it? Because I feel that we're kind of breaking away from it, and I'm just curious how.
Well, it is there and it will always be there. Let's not be naive. Even this 28th regime, which is now being passed by the European Commission, I don't think it's solving it. It will still be there. And academia is adding additional bureaucracy. Yeah, it will be there. So let's learn how to live with this. Yeah, I don't think this is a showstopper, to be honest, at the moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah? There needs to be clear rules at the university, and this is what Professor Mařík mentioned. Let's be fair. What is now at the Czech Technical University, I don't consider the conditions to be fair for the startups. So this needs to be a spin-offs. This needs to be solved. Yeah, but this is being discussed at the moment, as I understand. I mean, there needs to be fair share of university, but this fair share cannot stay never diluted because of the growth of the company. It's prohibiting it, and there are additional, constraints at the contract, but it's solvable, and it needs to be done, as we understand from the newly appointed rector of the university. This is his priority, and it will be solved. Yeah. On other universities in Czech, it is a bit better conditions. I would say, personally know at Ostrava Technical University, their conditions are more fair. So I hope this will be also solved here. Yeah? On the IP rights, I would not be obsessed so much with the IP rights. Yeah, that's you have to understand what is it as a product, how this is being treated, and this needs to be done on the case-by-case base by the lawyers. We cannot build one, shoes fit all. It's very, very difficult. And the last thing, we cannot involve very expensive lawyers on side of the large corporation and very, I would say, bureaucratic lawyers of side of universities, because they will never find intersection, and there will not be any spin-offs then. So let's be practical. So contract on side of university needs to be solved. Intellectual property project per project on a fair base. Yeah, they're very often, we don't know what the future will bring, how this is done. It will always be some kind of license provided to somebody being used, exclusive, non-exclusive. But this is not the rocket science. Yeah. So very pragmatic, very simple, and don't bother with the bureaucracy. It's there. Yeah. I mean, we have to fulfill it. It's there, and let's just work it. Yeah. So for me, it's not a showstopper. For me, it's not a showstopper. Yes. It's life.
Great. It's life. I think that is, I couldn't have summarized it better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, I think what you heard here today in terms of the last panel, what comes after RICAIP, is pragmatism, scaling and reusing and bringing to the forefront the amazing things that we've already done and achieved, and that necessarily the general public or the industry know about, but communicating those things, learning from our American cousins that we can afford to do marketing and we can afford to be confident because we are bloody good. And we need to realize that we're bloody good. And one of the reasons are the fantastic international relations and cooperation that we have with superb people such as yourself, Duncan, and you, Wolfgang, and your associated organizations. The fact that we're a friendly, cool, nice bunch of people who also happen to be excellent researchers, who happen to understand industry, who can speak the industry's language, but who've also got the connection into the state and governmental sector and also can touch the startups and the kind of young blood that is fizzling away there. And I think that this interdisciplinarity, not siloing ourselves and really ushering this new period of renaissance in, that's when Europe was great because it was adaptive, it was pragmatic, it was nimble. And I think that all of the gentlemen here have demonstrated the willingness to return back to that. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very grateful to be sitting here with you today. And I think that we can leave very, very optimistic from today and go even more optimistic into tomorrow's half day of the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge, humble thank you for everything that you've done. The RICAIP project is fantastic, and I think we all deserve, well, you all deserve, I'm just moderating, a round of applause. Thank you.